Breaking the shell of the coldest woman in Aspen's academic world. Breaking the shell of the coldest woman in Aspen's academic world. We had been married for 2 months. My wife was still as cold as ice, adamant about not letting me touch her body. Life was just like 2 roommates. I couldn't take it anymore, gathered all my courage and said to my wife, "Let's get a divorce. Married for so long, and you haven't let me touch you even once. My friends keep mocking me, saying I married a brother." She snapped. "Then just try touching me. How would you know without trying?" Immediately, she threw a box of condoms at my face. I was completely stunned. From demanding a divorce to being provoked, the situation reversed in an instant. At this moment, I stared intently at the glass on the table. My fingers tensed, my voice sharp. "Divorce. We must get a divorce." The air suddenly went still. In the living room, only the ticking of the clock on the wall could be heard. The woman opposite me on the sofa raised her head, her eyes looking at me coldly. "She is my wife, Serena. Only married for 2 months." She was as cold as an iceberg, not even letting me touch her. We shared a bed but had different dreams every day, except for eating. There was only silence. I was truly too exhausted. "Why?" Her voice was very calm, but carried a hint of a tremble. Hard to detect. I let out a cold laugh, staring at her long, slender legs, my throat tightening. "We aren't compatible. Married for 2 months, you won't let me touch you. Do you think I'm just air?" She was stunned, her eyes appearing to have a glistening light. A moment later, she pursed her lips, her voice cold. "Then just try touching me. How would you know without trying?" I froze, thinking she was joking. But the next second, she forcefully threw a box toward me. The box hit me right in the face. I looked down. It was a brand new box of condoms. My head immediately exploded, blood rushing to the top. Her eyes were red, corners brimming with tears, but her tone was stubborn, almost provocative. "Then just try touching me. Do you dare?" I was completely petrified. Clearly she was cold and distant. Why suddenly so provocative? At this moment, my heart was a mess of mixed emotions. On one hand, my anger hadn't faded. On the other hand, I was utterly confused by her. I stared at her, my throat tight. "Serena, don't play with me." She reached out to take off her glasses and put them on the table, her long hair falling loose. Her aura shifted from a cold professor to someone fragile, a bit disheveled. "I'm not joking. If you feel we aren't compatible, then prove it." My heart tightened, my breathing becoming shallow. She was forcing me. On one side was the appearance as cold as a mountain of ice. On the other were those red eyes. I suddenly realized, it seemed I had never truly understood her. She was clearly ice cold on the outside, but could say words like that. The air was tense for several seconds. She bit her lip, turning her head to not look at me anymore. "You want a divorce. I won't stop you. But don't dump all the responsibility on me. It's you who never tried." Before saying we aren't compatible, her voice was low, carrying a sense of grievance. My heart suddenly wrenched. This was not at all how I imagined the conversation would go. I thought she would coldly nod and say, "As you wish." But she did not. Even the corners of her eyes were turning red. I knitted my brows tightly, my mind a tangled mess. "Serena, what game are you playing?" She sniffled, reaching out to push that box toward me. "Didn't you complain?" Then my throat was dry. The atmosphere became extremely suggestive. But I didn't move. Married for 2 months. For the first time I felt like an outsider. What on earth was she thinking? This woman was cold and noble. Her long hair reached her waist. Her legs were longer than my life. During school days she was the cold beauty. And now she was still the ice queen, according to her students. But she was my wife, the person I legally registered to marry. However, for these 2 months she refused to be close, refused intimacy, as if she were drawing a line between us. I had thought she didn't care about this marriage at all, but the tears at the corners of her eyes now completely overturned my perception. I opened my mouth, my voice dry. Serena, what do you actually want? She looked at me, her voice trembling but stubborn. I don't want to be misunderstood by you. It's not that I don't want to. It's just. She bit her lip and didn't continue. My heart ached. It wasn't that she didn't want to. Then why? For 2 months was she as cold as ice? I was momentarily speechless. In the room, only the sound of breathing remained. The atmosphere was subtle, suggestive, and suffocating. I bowed my head to look at the item on the table. My fingers trembling. Suddenly, there was a sense of the absurd. From a divorce proposal to being forced to try. My life had been turned upside down in a single night. I snapped my head up, staring into her eyes. Serena, remember this, you said to try, so don't regret it. Her body stiffened, her cheeks slightly flushed, but she said nothing. In that moment, I saw complex emotions in her eyes. There was fear, there was hesitation, and a hint of expectation that was hard to detect. My heart wavered, looking into those red eyes. My heart was in turmoil. Clearly I was the one suggesting divorce. So how did I end up? Pushed into a corner by her? She fell silent after saying that, turned to walk into the bedroom, and closed the door. I sat on the sofa, staring at that box for 10 minutes. My mind was a mess. My heart even messier. What was this? The one who wanted a divorce was me, yet I was stimulated by a single sentence of hers. My blood boiling. The next morning, I opened the bedroom door and saw she was already fully dressed and preparing to go out. A tight shirt combined with a skirt past the knees, her long hair falling naturally, cold and noble, like a fairy untouched by the dust of the world. But the stockings she was wearing made my eyes tense up. I swallowed hard, trying to appear calm. About last night. As soon as I spoke, she coldly interrupted, "Don't mention it again." That one sentence completely ignited my anger. I thought to myself, you challenge me and then pretend like nothing happened. Do you think I'm a fool? She grabbed her bag to leave. I suddenly reached out to block her. Serena, what do you mean? She frowned at me. Mean what? Last night you provoked me. And now don't mention it again and it's over? Her eyes flickered, and she said coldly, then just try it. My heart jolted. This woman really could drive a person to death. After speaking, Serena bypassed me and left, leaving me alone with a churning chest. She was seducing me. I grit my teeth, a thought flashing through my mind. If you dare to provoke me, then I will certainly try. That evening, she returned home from work. I was already waiting in the living room. She pushed the door open and hesitated slightly when she saw me. Why are the lights on? I said nothing, only staring intently at her. She felt a bit uncomfortable, put her bag down, and took off her coat. The shirt she was wearing under the dim light revealed a provocative curve. The anger in my heart flared up. I suddenly stood up. Step by step, closing in on her. She backed away. What are you doing? I laughed coldly. Didn't you say you wanted to try? Her eyes panicked as I pinned her against the wall. But I didn't say it had to be now. Then when? I pressed. Her breathing was ragged, the corners of her eyes flushing red. But the next second, she suddenly pushed me away and rushed into the bedroom. The door shut with a loud thud, right in front of my face. I stood frozen on the spot, my fists clenched and cracking. What on earth did she mean? Clearly it was a provocation. Yet she retreated, as if intentionally arousing me only to douse me with cold water. A surge of fury rushed to my head. I walked to the bedroom door and said in a low voice, Serena, you are going too far. A muffled, sad voice came from inside. I didn't mean to. Then what do you mean? She didn't answer again. The silence made me irritable. I leaned against the door and took a deep breath. Now I was truly being driven mad by her. On the third night, she suddenly came home after drinking. The faint scent of alcohol lingered on her. Her cheeks were flushed, and her eyes were misty. I frowned and helped her into the house. Why did you drink so much? She looked up, her gaze a bit drunken. A gathering with colleagues. She gave a light laugh, her voice soft. Didn't you say you wanted to try? My whole body jolted. She was truly drunk. I looked at her. She leaned back on the sofa, legs crossed, her skirt riding up slightly, her fair skin under. The light was dazzling. I swallowed hard, my heart racing. Damn it, this woman was trying to kill me. I grit my teeth and stepped forward, leaning in close. Serena, are you sure? She blinked and said softly, no. I froze. What? Her eyes darted away, and her hand pushed me away with force. No, I'm afraid. The voice was so small it was almost inaudible, yet it pierced straight into my heart. I was stunned, looking into her eyes. Suddenly, I understood. She wasn't seducing me, she was truly struggling. My heart felt as if it had been struck by something heavy. I took a step back and breathed deeply. I suddenly felt a pang of pity for her. I poured her a glass of water. She took it, her hand trembling slightly. Serena, I looked at her, my voice lowering. What exactly are you afraid of? She bit her lip and didn't answer, only bowing her head as tears fell onto the back of her hand. My heart tightened. In that moment, for the first time, I felt this woman was not an unreachable iceberg. She was just locking herself inside a shell. I didn't pressure her anymore, only reaching out to gently pull her into my arms. Her body stiffened, but she didn't push me away. I said softly, remember? I am your husband, you don't need to be afraid. Her shoulders shook slightly as she leaned against my chest. The room became quiet, with only the sound of our breathing. My anger slowly dissipated, replaced by an indescribable pity and complexity. That night, we didn't take any further steps. She slept in my arms, sleeping very soundly, but I stayed awake all night, staring at the ceiling. A thought arose in my heart. This woman, I absolutely must understand her. On one hand, she was cold enough to reject everyone. On the other, she was weak enough that a single sentence could make her weep. I couldn't see through her, but one thing was for sure. A half-hearted marriage like this was something I could not endure. The next morning, she woke up and found herself curled in my arms, instantly stiffening. She jumped up, her face bright red. I rubbed my temples, my voice firm. Serena, we need to talk. She was stunned, pursing her lips. Talk about what? Marriage. I said bluntly. Married for 2 months, and you're as cold as ice. Every day I feel like an outsider. Either we divorce, or we set some rules. She looked at me, her eyes flickering. I tossed a piece of paper and a pen. Write a contract, write clearly what a husband and wife relationship should look like. She adjusted her posture, then laughed coldly. You treat marriage like a business? I said coldly. At least it's better than the current situation. The air was suddenly tense. She was silent for a long time, then suddenly reached for the pen. I was startled. I didn't expect her to agree. She bowed her head and wrote on the paper, her movements decisive. A few minutes later, a marriage contract was placed in front of me. I glanced over it and nearly went crazy with anger. Article 1. Must kiss each other once every day. Article 2. At least one date per week. Article 3. No cold wars during arguments. Must resolve it that same night. Article 4. Respect each other. No bringing up the past. My eyes widened. What the hell is this? She said nonchalantly. A contract. Didn't you say you wanted to write one? I wrote it. Any objections? I was speechless. I intended to set rules, but instead she had turned the tables, writing a contract that looked like a list of romance rules. Are you serious? She nodded slightly. Of course. I grit my teeth. What about marital duties? For example, when needed, you must agree? Her eyes flickered, but she forced a cold face. Then, write it in yourself. I raised an eyebrow, anger rising. Are you kidding me? I immediately grabbed the pen and added a clause after her terms. Article 5. Marital duties must be performed. After writing, I threw the pen down and stared at her until she signed. She was stunned, her face slightly red, but after hesitating for a moment, she still grit her teeth and signed. The contract is established. In the following days, the contract officially took effect. On the first day, early in the morning as she was preparing to go out, she suddenly stopped, turned her head and looked at me. One thing is missing. I was dazed. What? Clara suddenly stood on her tiptoes and quickly kissed me on the cheek. Her lips were soft, and her breath was sweet. I stood frozen, and she had already turned away. I was left standing there, my heart thumping. Mbappe. I find this contract a bit interesting. That night, she proactively pulled me to the supermarket. Article 2 of the contract. 1 date per week. I raised an eyebrow. Going to the supermarket is considered a date? She was serious, of course. I was speechless, but watching her push the cart, carefully selecting fruits and vegetables, my heart softened inexplicably. This is what a normal married life should be. However, just as I was about to be moved by this small warmth, she suddenly doused me with cold water. That night, I approached her, trying to fulfill Article 5 regarding marital duties. She suddenly stiffened, her eyes panicked as she pushed me away. My anger flared up instantly. Clara, are you playing with me? She bit her lip, her eyes red. No, it's just. Before she could finish, the tears began to flow. In that moment, the anger in my heart dissipated, replaced by deep suspicion. What exactly was she afraid of? Why did she retreat every time? At the crucial moment, I stared at her, my voice low. Clara, speak clearly. She shook her head, refusing to open her mouth, tears falling drop by drop. I was frustrated, but I couldn't force her further. Finally, I just let out a sigh, turned over and lay down, facing the wall. The room sank into a deadly silence, but I knew clearly, this marriage had reached its limit. Divorce or continue? I didn't know. I only knew if I didn't find the answer, sooner or later I would go crazy. The next day, I pasted the contract on the bedroom wall, using a red pen to circle Article 5. Clara, I'm giving you time, but don't forget this is your signature. She looked at the paper on the wall, her face pale, her fingers trembling. I could feel her fear, but I knew even better that I had to push her one step further, because only in this way could the relationship between us truly break the deadlock. This marital confrontation had only just begun. The marriage contract pasted on the wall, with Article 5 circled in red, like a thorn, pinned tightly between me and Clara. Every time she looked at it once, her expression would stiffen a bit more, but despite this, she still refused to yield even one step. The days passed by in an awkward manner, until one day, I left work early to pick her up. She is a professor at Harvard, the Ice Queen, recognized by the whole school. I parked the car at the school gate, leaning against it waiting for her. Not long after, I saw a group of students surrounding her, coming out of the teaching building. Those young faces, their gazes all burning hot. At the center was Clara. She was wearing a simple shirt and a short skirt, her hair in a soft bun, wearing high heels, cold and composed, like a white orchid untouched by dust. The students were clearly there for her. There was a male student who carefully offered flowers. Professor Clara, this. She frowned slightly, shaking her head in refusal. Thank you. I don't accept gifts from students. I watched from a distance, feeling secretly proud. Look at that. So many pursuers, but she's my wife. But just as I was about to step forward, a man with a baby face blocked her path. Clara, class is over? I was just heading to the parking lot too. Let's walk together. He was about 30 years old, his physique a bit bloated, his belly protruding, carrying a box of imported chocolates. Clara said coldly, no need. The man wouldn't let it go, stuffing the chocolates into her hand. Oh, don't be so polite. It's lonely walking alone. Wouldn't it be better with me? The surrounding students whispered and gossiped. My eyes narrowed. Immediately, anger flared in my heart. Damn it. Who is this guy? I walked over quickly, calling out, Clara. Everyone was stunned. Clara raised her head, slightly startled. Why are you here? I ignored her, walking straight up and pushing the chocolate box back into the man's chest. My wife said she doesn't accept it. So she doesn't. The scene went instantly silent. Students buzzed. Oh my God, Professor. Clara is married. The man's greasy face looked hideous as he stared at me, his voice cold. Who are you? I smiled, directly putting my arm around Clara's shoulders, her husband. Clara's body stiffened slightly, but she didn't push me away. The man's face turned green, forcing a smile. Clara, are you really married? Why didn't you tell us? I coldly interrupted. What business is it of yours? A glint of malice flashed in the man's eyes, the corner of his lip curling. So that's how it is. No wonder you've been so cold for so long. Turns out, you have someone backing you. The surrounding students were noisy. Anger boiled within me. I narrowed my eyes. What did you say? The man laughed coldly, lowering his voice. Kid, I'll give you some advice. A woman like Clara isn't someone just anyone can control. Do you think you've caught a treasure? My eyes narrowed, rage coiling in my chest. But before I could act, Clara suddenly spoke. Professor Sanchez, you have crossed the line. Her voice was cold, her gaze sharp. Please do not disturb me from now on. The man's face froze. I let out a cold laugh, putting my arm around her and turning. Did you hear that? My wife made it very clear. As we walked out of the crowd, I felt her shoulders shaking slightly. Once at the car, I let her go and asked in a cold voice, who was that? She lowered her eyes, her voice faint. A professor in the department. Very annoying. I frowned. Very annoying? That's harassment. You didn't say anything? How long has someone like that been bothering you? You just endure it like this? She bit her lip and wouldn't look at me. The car was so quiet it was suffocating. I punched the steering wheel. Do you think you can handle everything on your own? Her body trembled. I looked at her, gritting my teeth. Remember? Well, you are my wife. You aren't fighting alone. The car was silent for a long time before she said softly, thank you. My heart softened. Her eyes no longer had that cold look of rejection, but carried a hint of softness hard to detect. At that moment, my heart shook violently. That night, she stood at the bedroom door and suddenly spoke. Mbappe. I looked up and saw her holding the marriage contract. About today, thank you. Regarding Article 5 of the contract, I will try. I was stunned. Then my heart suddenly grew warm. She bowed her head, her ears turning red. Only, give me more time. I stepped forward, reaching out to cup the back of her neck, pulling her into my arms. My voice was raspy but strong. Okay, but remember, Clara, you are my wife. Whoever dares touch you, I'll be the first to disagree. Her body trembled slightly, and I felt her defenses collapsing bit by bit. That night, she bowed her head and placed the marriage contract in my hands. Her voice small but carrying a seriousness she never had before. Article 5 of the contract, I will try. My heart burned. I almost wanted to hold her tighter, but she quickly pulled away and turned back to the bedroom, leaving me alone, my heart thumping, unable to calm down for a long time. This was the first time she had yielded since we got married. A few days later, her changes were very clear. She was no longer cold-faced. Occasionally she would hand me a cup of coffee in the morning. When she came home from work, she would also proactively say, "You've worked hard." Though her tone was still faint, I could feel she was trying to be close to me. In my heart I swore I must seize this opportunity. Every night around 10 p.m., she sat at her desk under the light, frowning. Stacks of tests were piled in front of her, the red pen gliding quickly over the paper. I brought a cup of hot milk over. Don't grade anymore. Rest for a while. She looked up, her expression tired. 30 more papers. I'll grade them and then sleep. I sighed, put the milk down, walked up behind Serena, and gently massaged her shoulders. Her body stiffened slightly, but she didn't push me away. My heart softened, and the movements of my hands became even more tender. Why are you pushing yourself so hard? The student's theses cannot be delayed. Her voice carried a trace of exhaustion. I couldn't help but lean down, looking at her slender neck and the hair falling forward. A familiar emotion welled up. Serena, I lowered my voice. We are husband and wife, not roommates. Her body trembled. and the tip of her pen drew a jagged red line across the test paper. I took the opportunity to lean closer, my breath brushing against her ear. She suddenly raised her head, her eyes panicked. Mbappe, you said you would be patient. I looked directly into her eyes. Her cheeks were flushed, she bit her lip, and her breathing was ragged. After a moment of silence, she suddenly whispered, "Actually, it's not that I don't want to. It's just, I'm afraid." I froze, my heart aching. She lowered her eyes, her voice so small it was almost inaudible. Before, halfway through the sentence, she stopped, her fingers gripping the desk tightly. My heart tensed as I vaguely guessed the reason. Is it the ex-boyfriend? Her shoulders shook slightly, she didn't deny it. The air grew stagnant. My throat felt dry as I slowly reached out to take the pen from her hand. Turning her around to face me, "Serena," I looked into her red-rimmed eyes and said softly, "I am not him. I will not hurt you." Her tears finally fell, drop by drop, landing on the test paper. In that moment, I felt an immense heartache. I reached out and pulled her into my arms, holding her tight. She tried to hold it in, but eventually buried her face in my chest, sobbing. "I don't want to be lied to anymore. I don't want to be abandoned again." I swallowed hard, gritting my teeth. "Then remember this well, from now on, I'm not going anywhere. You are my wife. I will protect you for the rest of my life." Her shoulders shook with her crying, but she slowly reached out to hug me back tightly. That night, neither of us slept. She leaned against me and told me everything. She said her ex-boyfriend had used every sweet word to deceive her, only to end up having an affair and slandering her as being cold and unloving. At that time, she nearly collapsed. From then on, she built a thick shell around herself, preferring to stay cold rather than dare give anyone else a chance. I listened with clenched fists, wishing I could drag that pathetic man out and beat him half to death. But I only held her, constantly telling myself, in my heart, I must make her believe that marriage is not a wound, but a harbor. As dawn approached, she fell asleep in my arms. Her breathing was steady, her brow relaxed, as if she had finally cast off the heavy burden weighing on her heart. I leaned down and gently pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Wife, from today onward, you can rest easy and leave everything to me." The next morning when I woke up, she had unusually overslept. Looking at her peaceful sleeping face, a sense of unprecedented contentment rose within me. This was our true ice-breaking night, not a physical closeness, but a soul-to-soul connection. But I also understood clearly that her shell had only just developed a small crack. The real challenge was still ahead. The morning sun pierced through the gap in the curtains. I rubbed my eyes. The first thing I saw was Serena curled in my arms, still fast asleep. Her hair was spread out, as peaceful as a young girl. The crying last night seemed to have carried away all her defenses. My heart turned to mush. I couldn't help leaning down to give her forehead a gentle kiss. She frowned slightly but didn't wake, only instinctively burrowing deeper into my chest. I smiled, a solid sense of satisfaction welling up for the first time. Before I went to work, she unexpectedly waited for me in the kitchen. 2 slices of toast and a glass of milk were set on the table. She looked away, a bit shyly. "I just threw it together, don't complain." I was stunned for 2 seconds, then intentionally teased her. "Wow, is this the special privilege of the professor's wife showing her love?" Her face turned bright red, and she reached out to swat at me. "Are you eating or not? If not, then forget it." I immediately grabbed her hand, grinning as I said, "I'm eating. Of course I'm eating. I'll eat this every day from now on." She swiped her hand away and turned toward the bedroom, the tips of her ears already flushed red. A few days later, I intentionally left work early and drove to the school to pick her up. It was exactly when classes ended. She was wearing a professional dress, hair in a bun, high heels, looking every bit the part. A group of students watching from afar couldn't help but gossip. "Wow, Professor Serena's husband is here to pick her up. So sweet. I want a boyfriend like that too." I stood waiting for her at the school gate naturally, She saw me, froze for a moment, and her expression immediately turned cold. What are you doing here? Picking up my wife from work, I said seriously. Stop acting up, this is a school. Her voice was cold, but she couldn't hide the panic in her eyes. The students were peeking and watching. I intentionally stepped forward and took her hand. When my professor is this beautiful, if I don't come early, what if someone lures her away? Her face went bright red. She wanted to shake my hand off. But with a crowd of students staring, she had to keep a stiff face. Back at the car, she glared at me. Did you do that? On purpose? I played dumb. I'm openly picking up my wife. What's wrong with that? She was so angry she was speechless, turning her head to look out the window, but I saw clearly that the corner of her mouth couldn't help but tilt up slightly. Gradually, her changes became more and more apparent. At dinner, she would proactively put food on my plate. Sometimes, when I came home late, she would set aside a portion for me, even reminding me to reheat it before eating. That day, after she finished grading, she suddenly handed me a piece of candy to stay awake. I was dazed, looking at the candy in my hand, smiling like an idiot. She pretended to be cold. What? If you don't want it, give it back. I immediately tore the wrapper, popped it in my mouth, and intentionally said with a lisp, so sweet. She rolled her eyes at me, her ears turning red again. However, she still had lingering hesitation in her heart. That night, I had just finished showering and walked out wrapped in a towel. She happened to be coming out of the study. Our eyes met. She froze, her gaze lingering on me for half a second, and her face instantly turned bright red. Can't you put on proper clothes before coming out? I raised an eyebrow. We're husband and wife. Even husband and wife should have boundaries. She threw that line back at me and slammed the bedroom door shut with a loud thud. I looked at the closed door, caught between laughter and tears. It seemed that even though the ice had cracked, truly entering Serena's heart would still take time, bit by bit. A few days later, the school organized an academic gala. I went with her. For the first time, I witnessed her prestige in the academic world. She spoke with such calm and poise that she left several veteran professors speechless. The eyes of everyone there were fixed on her. I felt a surge of pride and couldn't help shouting in the crowd, "That's my wife." The result was a sharp, icy glare from her. Back at home, she kicked off her high heels and leaned tiredly against the sofa. I walked over to massage her feet. She started, pulling her feet back. "What are you doing?" "Just relax. My great professor has worked hard today." I held her feet so she couldn't pull away and massaged them gently. She bit her lip, her face flushing red, but she stopped resisting. "Serena," I suddenly called her name, my voice low. "Don't be afraid of me." She froze, her eyes flickering. After a moment of silence, she gave a soft, My heart stirred. That simple response meant more than any solemn promise. However, just as our relationship was gradually warming up, an uninvited guest appeared. That day, I went to the school to pick her up. Just as I reached the parking lot, I saw a man in a formal suit blocking her path. "Serena, long time no see," he smiled confidently, his gaze carrying a familiar sense of possession. Serena's face turned cold instantly. "You and I have nothing to talk about." An ill premonition rose in my chest. It seemed the real test was about to begin. "Serena, long time no see." The man's voice was boisterous, but it carried an entitled sense of intimacy. I narrowed my eyes to size up the man in front of me. He was in his 30s, wearing a perfectly tailored suit, hair neatly styled, carrying a briefcase. He had an aura, but seeing that smile, which was so practiced it was revolting, I only felt disgust. Serena clearly didn't want to pay him any mind, her voice cold. "I have nothing to say to you. Please move aside." The man wouldn't let it go, even blocking her path. "Serena, do you really want to treat me this way? Our feelings years ago, can you really just forget them like that?" My heart jumped, just as I thought. Serena's ex-boyfriend. Serena's face was like ice. "Tom, don't be Delusional, I told you long ago. It's over between us. Tom, I committed the name to memory. I stepped forward, directly shielding Serena behind me, my gaze sharp. Excuse me, she is my wife now. He froze, then laughed coldly. So you're Mbappe? That's me. I looked him straight in the eye. Just an ordinary civil servant? How many zeros are in your paycheck? What kind of piece of junk car is this you're driving to pick her up? He looked me up and down, his tone full of mockery. Serena, do you really want to spend your life with a man like this? Is he even worthy of you? Serena's face went pale. She started to speak, but I beat her to it. Whether I am worthy or not is not for you to say, I said coldly. I took Serena's hand, my palm squeezing hers tight. My wife has accepted me, so I am worthy. As soon as the words left my mouth, Serena visibly started looking at me with complex emotions. Tom laughed coldly. She accepted you? Serena, are you for real? Why did you agree to marry him back then? Was it out of spite? Or just to hide from me? Serena was questioned to the point where her face turned white, her lips pressed in silence. My heart tightened, and just as I was about to respond, Tom seized the chance, his voice cold. Serena, you can't lie to yourself. You simply haven't forgotten me. How long have you been married to him? Only 2 months. Don't tell me you two haven't even done what a husband and wife should do. Those words were like a knife stabbing Serena's heart. Her breath hitched, and her cheeks instantly turned bright red. With a boom in my mind, my anger exploded. I suddenly lunged forward, grabbing his collar, my gaze razor sharp. Who the hell do you think you are, talking such trash here? Tom didn't panic at all, his lips still holding that smirk. Why so agitated? Did I hit a nerve? I'm telling you, Serena is mine. All these years she hasn't loved anyone because she still has me in her heart. You are nothing but a substitute. Afraid I wouldn't be able to hold back, I punched him right in the face. Tom stumbled back, clutching his face, his gaze turning dark. You dare hit me? Don't talk about one punch. Say one more word and I'll cripple you, I growled through gritted teeth. People nearby were starting to look and whisper. Serena, her face pale, hurriedly pulled me back. Stop making a scene. This is the school parking lot. I panted, staring Tom down. He let out a cold laugh, wiping blood from the corner of his mouth. Serena, do you really think he can give you the life you want? Following him will only lead to a lifetime of regret. When you've thought it through, I'm always ready. With that, he tossed those words behind him and walked away. The air was thick with the scent of gunpowder. I turned to look at Serena. A complex light flickered in her eyes. She wanted to explain, but finally only whispered, Let's go. Let's go home. In the car, the atmosphere was heavy. I gripped the steering wheel. Tom's words echoing in my head. You haven't even done what a husband and wife should do. I didn't dare look at her expression, fearing I'd see hesitation in her eyes. Finally, I asked in a low voice, was he really your ex-boyfriend? She was silent for 2 seconds, then replied softly, yes. Why did you break up? Her breath hitched, her gaze avoiding mine. I don't want to talk about it. My heart tightened, my fists clenching. What he said just now, don't take it to heart. I won't allow anyone to insult you like that. She froze, looking up at me, her eyes flashing with shock. I grit my teeth and continued, remember, you are my wife. I will protect you for the rest of my life. No one can touch you. As the words fell, the car sank into a brief silence. A long time later, she whispered, don't you regret it? Regret what the hell? I gave a cold huff. Even if you have a past, it's the past. Now you belong to me. Her lips trembled, the corners of her eyes turning red as if she were fighting back tears. I reached over and held her hand tight. She started, but in the end, she didn't pull her hand away. Back at home, she sat on the sofa in silence for a long time. I poured a glass of water and handed it to her. Don't think about it anymore. He's just a rat in the street. She looked at me, her voice small. You don't understand. I do understand. I interrupted her. You're afraid he'll upend your life, but rest assured, as long as I'm here, he won't succeed." The corners of her eyes were red as she whispered, "Thank you." My heart felt a pang of bitterness. I reached out and pulled her into my arms. "Silly. Why are you thanking me?" Her body stiffened, but she didn't push me away anymore. In that moment, I understood that Tom's appearance hadn't shaken our relationship. Instead, it had driven us closer together. And this was only the beginning. After that night, Serena's state was clearly not right. By day, she maintained her persona of a cold and glamorous professor, confident on the lecture podium, but back at home, she seemed lost, quiet and withdrawn. I watched her, and my heart tightened. Tom's appearance hadn't just resurrected old memories, it was like tearing open a deep wound in her heart. But she said nothing. A few days later, I went to the school early to pick her up. I happened to catch her talking to a female teacher in the office. I didn't interrupt immediately, just stood outside waiting. Unexpectedly, I overheard the other teacher sigh, "Serena, you really shouldn't be soft-hearted. That bastard Tom, to think he'd dare come back to haunt you after all these years." Serena's voice was very low. "I'm not being soft-hearted. I just don't want him destroying my life anymore. He hurt you badly enough already." The teacher defended her. "If it weren't for him, you wouldn't still be so haunted by men even now." I froze. My heart tightened. So this was the truth. On the way home, I remained silent. Serena noticed and asked softly, "Why aren't you saying anything today?" I looked at her, getting straight to the point. "What exactly did he do back then?" She visibly stiffened, her fingers gripping her knees. For a long time, she didn't answer. Not until the car stopped below the apartment did she take a deep breath, her voice so small it almost vanished. "Do you really want to know?" I nodded, my gaze steady. She lowered her eyes, as if suppressing it for a long time before speaking. "He cheated." Just two short words, but they were like a hammer striking my heart. Serena forced a smile, a bitter one. Back then, I was stupid enough to trust him, even planned to get married. It turned out he was entangled with my best friend, and then he blamed me for being cold, saying I wasn't feminine enough, not worthy of being a good wife. I felt the blood rush to my brain, and then, my voice was strained. The corners of her eyes turned red, her fingers clutching the seat. Then he even told me to my face that a woman like me, besides being a professor and pretending to be noble on a podium, was just a piece of trash in bed. Her voice grew worse, as if the old wound was being ripped apart. Tears finally fell uncontrollably. My chest ached. No wonder she avoided intimacy. No wonder for 2 months of marriage she wouldn't let me touch her. It turned out she had been insulted like that. I said nothing, just pulled her tightly into my arms. At first, she struggled a bit, but finally she couldn't hold back anymore, burying herself in my chest, her shoulders shaking as she wept. I whispered in her ear, "Don't be afraid, Serena. Everything he said was garbage. He isn't even worthy of judging you. In my eyes, you are perfect, the best woman in the world." She cried harder, her voice sobbing. "You don't understand. That insult will haunt me forever like a nightmare." I clenched my fists, swearing in my heart, I must help her escape this darkness. A few days later, I intentionally arranged a short trip, saying work was too exhausting and we needed a change of scenery. In reality, I wanted her to let go of the burden in her heart. In the small village of Aspen, we strolled through the night market. For the first time, she proactively took my hand, interlacing her fingers with mine. In that moment, I saw the softness in her eyes. I understood that it wasn't that she didn't want to be close to me, but that she was always imprisoned by her past. That night, a heavy rain suddenly began to fall. The sound of rain pattered outside the window of the Hotel Bel Air. The power went out, and the room sank into darkness. I lit some candles and saw her huddled in the corner of the bed, her face pale. "Serena, are you afraid of the dark?" I asked softly. She didn't answer, just pursed her lips, her eyes flickering. I went over and sat beside her, wrapping my arm around her shoulders. "Don't lean on me. She trembled, finally. Looking up at me, tears welled in her eyes. Her voice sobbing, Mbappe. What if one day I truly can't let go? Would you look down on me? My heart tightened, and I said firmly, no. Listen. Carefully, I will never look down on you. Even if you can never let go. I will stay by your side. She was stunned. Tears lingered in the corners of her eyes. The next second, she suddenly lunged into my arms, sobbing. Why are you so good to me? My throat tightened as I replied softly, because you are my wife. Because I love you. The atmosphere went still. She trembled, looking up at me. Tears slid down her cheeks. Immediately after, she proactively kissed me, through her sobs, through her longing, with the courage that finally let go of her guard. That night, while the storm raged outside, a fierce fire ignited within the room, she finally gave herself completely to me. Through tears and trembling, she whispered, I shouldn't have wasted 2 months. If I had known you were this good. I held her tight. In my heart, there was only one thought. At this moment, I had finally redeemed her, and I possessed her completely. After that night, the relationship between me and Serena was as if it had jumped directly from ice into fire. Waking up the next morning, she was curled in my arms, her hair disheveled, her skin fair. She no longer had the look of a cold professor, but was like a small woman who had finally found her anchor. I couldn't help but smile, reaching out to gently stroke her face. She opened her eyes dreamily, and as soon as she saw me, the tips of her ears turned red. What are you looking at? She asked softly. I smiled wickedly, looking at my wife, the most beautiful in the world. She gave me a light swat and turned her back to me. But she couldn't hide the smile on her lips. From that day on, our marriage entered the mode of a real husband and wife. Early in the morning, she got up before me, busy in the kitchen. When I went downstairs, I saw her in a nightgown and an apron, quietly frying eggs. I hugged her waist, whispering in her ear, the professor's wife is so domestic. She reached out to push me. It smells like oil, don't hug me like that, she complained, but her hands didn't push me away. For breakfast, she fried sunny-side-up eggs for me and even added a slice of ham. I teased. Is this a mark of love? She glared at me. Are you eating? If not, I'll give it to the dog. I quickly bowed my head and ate greedily. I'm eating what my wife makes is the best. She couldn't help it. The corner of her lips curved up slightly. But in this sweet life, it was impossible to avoid small quarrels. There was one time I went to pick Serena up from work, just as a few male students were surrounding her, helping her carry her things, very enthusiastically. My eyes twitched, and I immediately walked over to take all the books. Let me. I put one arm around her shoulder. I'm here. The students were stunned. Professor Serena. I smiled relaxedly. Her husband. The students' jaws dropped instantly. Wow, Professor Serena is married. In their eyes, a flash of disappointment was clearly visible. My heart was overjoyed, and I intentionally ruffled her hair gently in front of them. She kept a cold face, but as soon as we got home, she gave me a sharp pinch. What kind of act was that in front of my students? I winced. I was openly declaring my sovereignty, stopping others from eyeing my wife. She glared at me but didn't argue. Only her ears turned bright red. The most classic instance was when she got jealous. My company had a new female colleague, quite lively. After finishing overtime that day, she specifically walked me to the elevator. As soon as I stepped out, I bumped right into Serena, who was waiting for me. The female colleague smiled and said, Mr. Mbappe, I'll look forward to your guidance during our next collaboration. Serena's face went cold immediately, and she turned away without a word. Back at home, before she even had a chance to change her shoes, she went straight to the living room sofa and spoke coldly. Did you enjoy that very much? I was dazed. Enjoy what? She glared at me. She was smiling so brightly. And you were chatting so happily with her. Do you like that type of person? I almost burst out laughing. Honey, are you jealous? she started, and her ears immediately turned a terrifying shade of red as she turned to leave. I pulled her into my arms, smiling deviously. So it turns out the great professor knows how to get jealous too. Let go, she struggled. I didn't let go, leaning close to her ear to whisper, rest assured. In my eyes, there is only one woman, and that's you. Her body stiffened, her breathing ragged. After a while, she said gloomily, smooth talker. But I could feel her whole body had gone soft. The days grew sweeter and sweeter. Sometimes we would go to the supermarket together. She would walk ahead with a cold face. But in the cart, there were always snacks I liked hidden there. I discovered them and whispered in her ear, wife, are you secretly caring about me? Her face turned red, acting tough. Don't be narcissistic. But every time we checked out, the snacks were still there. In the evenings we cooked together. She chopped the vegetables and I stir-fried. The kitchen was filled with rising steam. I took the opportunity to hug her from behind, reaching around to help her hold the knife. She started, what are you doing? Careful not to cut your hand. I laughed. Husband and wife collaboration leads to higher efficiency. Her mouth complained that I was being childish, but afterward we coordinated perfectly, making a table full of dishes. She picked up a piece of vegetable for me to taste. I took a bite and pretended, a bit salty. She glared, if you don't like it, then don't eat. I hurriedly smiled to make up for it. I like it a bit salty, it goes better with rice. Only then was she satisfied, tilting her chin up proudly, then eat plenty of it. Our sweetness was always discussed by the neighbors. One day, we made too much noise in the middle of the night. When we left the house the next day, the auntie next door looked at me with a very suggestive gaze and intentionally coughed. You young people should pay a little attention. The floor insulation isn't very good. Serena's face flushed bright red all the way to her neck. Back at home, she chased after me. It's all your fault. Why were you laughing so loud? Clearly your voice was the loud one. She lunged at me to cover my mouth. Say another word and I'll risk my life to stop you. I grabbed her and pinned her down on the sofa, smiling wickedly. Go ahead. I'm more than willing. Little by little, life together had caused her to completely let go of her guard. The cold, distant professor of the past could now, in front of me, be affectionate, be sulky, be jealous, and even laugh like a little girl. I knew that she had finally, truly given her heart to me. And I used all my strength to spoil and protect her, because she was the woman I had chosen for a lifetime. The sweet days passed by very quickly. I thought we would always be peaceful like this, until that person appeared again. On a Friday afternoon, I went to pick Serena up from work. Just arriving at the school gate, I felt the atmosphere was a bit unusual. Several students were gathered, holding phones and whispering, is this real or fake? Is Professor Serena's dating history really that messed up? Look, the rumors say she was once abandoned and even kept by someone. No way. Professor Serena is so cold and noble. My heart tightened, and I walked quickly into the campus. I saw on the notice board in front of the teaching building a pile of screenshots of anonymous rumors printed out and secretly pasted. Attached were several blurry candid photos and descriptions that distorted the truth. The words were venomous, almost intended to nail Serena to a pillar of shame. She stood before the crowd, her face cold to the extreme, the corners of her eyes red. Anger flared in my heart instantly. Who did this? I shouted, stepping forward to rip all of it down. The students were startled and quickly dispersed. Serena wanted to stop me, but I directly shielded her in my arms, saying in a cold voice, wife, I'm right here. No one will dare touch a single hair on your head. Things were not that simple. Back home that evening, her phone rang constantly. An anonymous post appeared online with a glaring headline. Female professor at University X has a chaotic private life. Suspicious marriage. Opening it up, it was written in great detail, even including the truth about us not having shared a bed for 2 months. Clearly, someone was intentionally digging into her privacy, wanting to destroy her completely. Her face turned ashen, her fingers trembling as she scrolled. I immediately snatched the phone away, saying coldly, "Don't look at it anymore." "But, the students will see this. The school leadership will see it too." Her voice trembled. I held her hand tight. "Trust me. These things are all fake. I won't let you face this alone." She looked at me, her eyes full of helplessness. My heart ached. The next day, I found the person behind it. It was her ex-boyfriend, Tom. Somehow, he had gotten hold of our marriage status and took the chance to inflate it and spread rumors. I met him at the Estrella cafe. He still had that arrogant look. "Mbappe, are you worthy of Serena? She is a professor. You are just an ordinary guy. Your marriage was a joke. To begin with, it's better to end it early. She belongs with me." I laughed coldly. "You're worthy? How you treated her, I know better than anyone." His expression shifted, then turned malicious. "Even so, the school and society won't easily overlook a woman with a stain. Rest assured, even if she isn't with me, I will destroy her." My fists clenched, nearly punching him in the face again. But in the end, I held back. I understood that hitting someone was the most useless thing. What I needed to do was crush his plot entirely. A few days later, the school held an emergency meeting. Some teachers and student representatives suggested investigating Serena's teaching credentials. The pressure of public opinion made her almost unable to breathe. I held her hand and said softly, "Leave it to me." Under the gaze of everyone, I stood up, my voice firm. "My name is Mbappe, and I am Serena's husband. Those rumors are all fake. She is a dedicated teacher, a woman of purity and integrity. Her only mistake was once blindly meeting someone she shouldn't have met, but she is not at fault, and she certainly shouldn't be slandered. I am here to declare that she is my one and only wife, and that will never change." The room was in an uproar. Serena stood frozen on the spot, the corners of her eyes instantly welling with tears. After the meeting, the school didn't reach a conclusion immediately, but public opinion clearly shifted. Many students stood by Serena, leaving supportive comments online. "Professor Serena is the most responsible professor we've ever seen. She couldn't be that kind of person. The rumormonger is disgusting." The pressure gradually eased. The way she looked at me, for the first time, carried a sense of total reliance. That night, she hugged me, her voice sobbing, "Mbappe, why are you willing to do all this for me?" I stroked her hair and answered softly, "Because you are my wife. Protecting you is my sacred duty." Her tears broke through, and she breathlessly placed a deep kiss on my lips. A few days later, the identity and actions of her ex-boyfriend were exposed. Public opinion backfired on him, and his reputation was completely ruined. The storm finally subsided. We sat on the balcony, her leaning against my shoulder, whispering, "Mbappe, I almost thought I was going to lose everything." I held her hand tight. "You will never lose me." She was silent for a moment, then looked up at me seriously. "Then let's have our wedding again, shall we?" I was dazed, then let out a big laugh. "Yes, I want the whole world to know you are the wife of this Mbappe." The moonlight was gentle. She laughed through her tears in my arms. I knew that this was our true beginning.